Hello and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm here to explain how to use My Duolingo Diary, and I'm assuming that you've already bought a copy. If not, there are links in the description. There are 3 versions available. You might have the A1 version, the A2 version, or the A1 and A2 combined. A1, A2, B1, B2, what are these? Well, they refer to the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. This is an international standard of languages, and it is used by Duolingo to say what level the sections of their course are. Sections 1, 2 and 3 are A1 level, and you can see it if you press this section button. You can see that at the top it will say A1, A2, B1, B2. Section 4 is the A2 version, and there are it goes to B2 on Duolingo. So these 2 books, A1 and A2, My Duolingo Diary, take you to halfway through the Duolingo course. Let's have a look at how they help you to learn with Duolingo. Right, so let's have a look at My Duolingo Diary. This is the A1 edition. It's not part of the official Duolingo products. This is your guide for how to use it. I have explained the levels a little bit, but you can read more about them here. There are instructions for what you should do on each day. You find the titles of the Duolingo sections at the top of each little section. So this is section 1, unit 1. The first thing that you get in every lesson is a list of some of the vocabulary that you come across in Duolingo. The easiest first test is, can you recognize the Spanish? Do you know what it means in English? The next is, can you recall the Spanish? So you just cover it up, try to recall the Spanish. And the third, where you really know that you've acquired this vocabulary, is you know that there are 19 words here because I've put numbers on. You need to group those items of vocabulary into easy groups. So we've got, for example, there are 4 people, boy, girl, woman, man. There are 5 persons, I, you, he, she, you. So I've got people, 4 plus 5. Food and drink, there are 4, apples, bread, water, milk. And greetings, there are 6, hello, goodbye, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and pleased to meet you. That adds up to 19. So without having any eyes on, I can now try to recall, with a complete blank piece of paper, that list of vocabulary. And once I can do that, I know I've acquired it. At the bottom of each vocabulary list, there is a recommended language tutor video, and I really do think that you should start your Spanish journey with the best tool for learning Spanish. It's very important. These language tutor videos explain the grammar in a way that you're really going to be able to access. I'm so delighted to team up with Danny Evans, the language tutor, for this, because I think that if you use Duolingo and this book and Danny's videos, I think you're guaranteed to learn Spanish. As well, here some of the things that you're going to come across in this Duolingo lesson, the forming basic sentences and greeting people lesson. Okay, how do you use the book? First, we've got day and date. I recommend that you put this in Spanish. At the back of the book, how to write dates in Spanish. So you can put lunes el 4 de julio. Okay, you could use Google Translate just as easily. Day 1, you can put día 1. I've got a list of numbers at the back as well. And the pages, you can put 6. I think it's a great idea to include numbers and dates in your regular routine of learning Spanish. Now, this double-page spread would be completed in 1 day. And there are 3 of these that cover that first lesson, which was form basic sentences and greeting people on the Duolingo. So you would aim to finish these 3 pages by the time you finish that lesson on Duolingo, form basic sentences and greet people. I think it's 2 lessons now. Vocabulary for today. So as you work your Duolingo lesson, you're going to write in 6 of the words that you want to remember here. Vocabulary from 3 days ago and 7 days ago. When you start, you don't have 3 and 7 days ago, so just use some words from this list that you want to remember. The vocabulary for today, you write in English and in Spanish. From 3 days ago and 7 days ago, just write it in English. Okay? And we'll come back to why. Spanish phrases for tomorrow, these are from your Duolingo app, and you're going to write in Spanish and in English. So, yo soy un niño. Yo como pan. I am a boy. I eat bread. In Spanish and in English. As much as you have space for. Your personal diary entry, I want you to write whatever's personal to you. It could be what your shopping list is. It could be what you plan to do today. It could be the weather. It could be your thoughts about the people in your life or about yourself. Whatever your personal diary entry is, I would like you to use Google Translate for that, and I would like you to keep it simple. You're going to write this in Spanish, copying from Google Translate. You're going to keep it really simple. And at the end of this section, these 3 days, you're going to come back and you're going to read your personal diary entry, and hopefully you're going to understand a lot of it because it's about you. Next, verb of the day. Now, this is where you really should have watched that language tutor video. At the end of each section, there is this, support and ideas for days 1 to 3. You get 3 verbs because there's been 3 days. So, comer is a suggested verb for day 1. Comer, write that in here, and verb of the day. And comer means to eat, and it's a present tense verb. All of these verbs in section A1 are going to be present tense. Yo como means I eat. Tu comes means you eat. Él come means he eats. So you're going to write those in and get used to writing out one verb every day. And the verbs are here for you every single time. Next time it will be beber, meaning to drink, and after that, hablar, to speak. These are verbs that you will come across in Duolingo as you go through that particular lesson. The Spanish phrases from yesterday. This is where you go back to the day before. And so the day before we had this example. Yo bebo agua, I drink water. I only want you to write the English in here. So just as you wrote the vocabulary was just English here. And you're going to write it in English and hold the Spanish in your head. Okay? Next, the fluency questions. Tú eres José. Tú eres una niña. Eres un hombre. These questions you should be able to recognize and understand from your work in Duolingo that corresponds to this lesson and this section. So you should be able to conjure up some kind of answer to these questions every single time by yourself. If for any reason you don't understand the question, in the support section for each 2 or 3 days, you have the translation. So the translation for all of those questions in all those 3 days are here. And you also have my suggested answers. My suggested answers aren't translated. Just try to read them and focus on what you can understand. After you've answered these questions, you then come back to the vocabulary from 3 days ago, which you've written in English, and you try to recall it. Practicing recall is so important when you're learning a language. And you come back to these Spanish phrases from yesterday, which you've written in English, and you've held in your head in Spanish, I hope, and you write those in Spanish now. Okay, and that would be the end of that study section for that day. Once you've done the 2 or 3 days, as I say, come back, read your personal diary entries, which you kept simple and you used Google Translate to write in Spanish, and read them through and celebrate that you are writing and understanding and reading your own Spanish. about you, relevant to your life. Once you've finished those 3 days, there is a little bit of information about grammar every single time, every single unit, a bit of information about grammar for you to read, understand the terminology, understand why things are happening the way they are. And then you're on to the next lessons. So the next lessons are called Get Around in a City, Order Food and Drink. And you can see when you click onto Duolingo how you, in section 1, lesson 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, it corresponds to the title of the Duolingo lesson. In A1 and A2, these books, you have 182 days worth of studying Spanish. I don't envisage that you use this book every single day. You could do, but it might be 2 or 3 days a week. As long as you are corresponding the lessons and the sections of Duolingo to what you're doing in this book, it will make perfect sense. It will help you remember your Duolingo lessons and it will help you become fluent in Spanish. So if you have any questions, get in touch with me, ruth@spanglishfantastico.com. And it only remains for me to say a massive thank you to Dan Hall, who provided inspiration for this book, Danny Evans, who provided support for this book, and María Borrego, who has proofread and checked that this book is all accurate for you. And to thank you, finally, for tuning in and learning Spanish and making the world a more bilingual place. Gracias y adiós.